What we're going to do is look at how to format a table quickly and then how to use manual functions as well as built-in functions. So we're going to click and drag over top the area, include all borders and a thick border. We can add a background color as well as change the font color. So I can do high contrast with all black and then white. We can adjust columns by clicking on a column and manually adjusting by looking at the point in the middle between two columns. We can select multiple columns, right click and select column width. I'm going to pick 7, and that's just a more efficient use of space. I can center the text for each of the different columns, but what I would like to do is take a look at some of these features. So let's calculate the total, and then later we will calculate the average. And let's make that red and include this in our table. So that being said, what we're going to do is look at a manual formula, which is when we hit equal sign, that means that we're going to be calculating something in this cell every time. And I can manually enter, say I wanted to get this row for Ava for her test, I could say B2, which is the location of that first position, and then plus C2 plus D2 plus E2. Hit enter and it calculates that total automatically. And this is very helpful when it's a large amount of data. It'd be time saving. And also if something changes, say instead Ava got 10 out of 10 on this test, the total will automatically update. So that's one way to calculate the total. Another way is a built-in function. So I can erase this right here. There are built-in functions which you can access by typing equals, and then if you know the name of each of the functions, you can use it. So the sum. And what I can do is click and drag over top of these numbers. Hit enter, and I get this value, 29. So if I had to do this for each and every single row, this would be very time consuming. So what I can do is autofill by clicking on the cell that has the instructions that I want. This is actually what it says inside of this cell. And when I click and drag from the bottom right corner, notice that it changed to a black plus sign. It will copy those instructions for each of these values. So what I'm going to do is just put this in a very light color red. So that being said, there's our total for each and every single student. When I double click on this right here, this is from B8 to E8. So this is B8 all the way to E8. Next, there are other built-in functions such as the average. If I wanted to take a look at the average for test 1, note that all of these tests are hypothetically out of 10. So I'm going to say this is equal to the sum of, actually I'll go right to the average. Average, and I can click and drag over each of these values, hit enter, and the average is approximately this value. And what I can do is, I'm going to change this formatting for each of them. I'm going to round to just one decimal place, so I can move to the right here. Average 7.7. And when I look at the instructions, that's the average for this column. When I click and drag over, that will copy those instructions for each of our different cells. Let's take a look at this one right here. Notice that this is relative to the initial position. Originally, I said B2 to B8, which is directly above this cell. When I click in the bottom right corner and copy those instructions to each of the other cells, because this is a relative call, that means that we're going to have D2 to D8, the numbers that are directly above this cell.